practical about things. Who is an economically savvy person?
Okay, so you just talked about in Ghana. So I remember our economics teacher always talked about resources, right? The limited resources and how we manage them. So the economically savvy woman is the woman who has a good understanding of the resources they have and how they manage those resources. And the biggest resources for the economical savvy woman are time and money. So if you are savvy about your economics or your economical environment, that means you have a way or you have a grasp of how you manage your money and your time. And that is the economically savvy woman. And so again, because our focus today are on economics, the economically savvy woman, I'm going to focus on those two big resources I just mentioned, being time and money. There are other resources for sure that are also around and are in limited quantity. So how you manage it is all part of doing economics. But for our conversation today, we'll focus on those two resources.
Time and money. Wow, those are good things that we all ladies, we want and we need and we keep managing. But let's talk about that, money. Because once you say money, as Christians, we can easily start to think about, oh, it's not a good thing. You shouldn't, be money conscious. But how do we rethink? Because as women, we use money a lot. Whether directly, indirectly, we are managing the money and all that. So how can we be savvy about it? Because yesterday I was looking at this Proverbs 31 woman, and I was looking at the things that she's able to do, like the investment. She considers a land. That means she's not an impulsive buyer, but she considers it. She thinks about it. She makes an investment. She does so many things. And that's why we read about her that she can laugh, because she's okay. She's planned for the future. So talk about that money, because a lot of us shy away from money, but we want money. How do we get a better relationship with that?
So before we get too far, I think there's this word has been used in many masterpiece conversations, which is the word being intentional, right? The word is intentional, right? So your mindset about anything is what drives you to either make a change, to get you going, to move you from one level to the other. So I don't want us to go too far without all of us women looking at our mindset about these resources, because based on your and your purpose, that is what you are going to depend on, or it's going to be the driver of the decisions you make.
Based on your mindset as a woman, and then the purpose. How does purpose come into money?
So your purpose decides what you buy. So we are talking about economics, right? Again, there's something called opportunity cost. There is so many needs out there and wants out there, insatiable needs and wants, right? And for all of us as individual women, there are so many things we want to achieve, we want to buy, we want to spend our time doing, but we have to pick and choose. And I brought the word purpose because it's your purpose that decides what's priority for you, right? So if my purpose is I want to become a millionaire, and I'll just throw that out there, right? Yeah. That is the drive. That is what helps me with some of my choices. It's too broad to say. If that is my purpose, then what I do with money today is determined by that purpose that I have. Let's look at some of the other purposes that as women would have. Some of us are mothers. We probably want our kids to go to college, right? Yes. If my kid is, 15 years, 14 years, 12 years today, if my kid is 12 years today and I want that kid to go to college, what do I do to ensure that that happens, right? Wow. My purpose is to meet the needs of the poor, help some orphans that are living in a village somewhere. What are the things that I'm going to put my money in, or how do I get the money to do the things that I want to do? When you have these, when you have your defined purpose, it tells you or it directs you on what to buy against the other thing. So you have the opportunity of either spending your money today on $1 million house, or spending your money today on savings or in an investment other than that, the house or the property that you are thinking about, because you have different needs, many of them. So you have to decide what's my priority. And that decision usually is it's based on your understanding of your purpose. This is what I want to achieve. This is my dream in the next 5 years, 2 years, 10 years. And that decides, helps you decide on what to do with your money and time.
Amazing. And you just said your purpose will define your resources or how you use your resources. That is really key. I haven't even thought of it that way. Like, how do we we know we want the money, but if you haven't defined your purpose, you wouldn't even know how much money you need to do it, how much you need to save, how much you need to put aside, and even how to stop some of the impulsive behaviors that we have, because we tend to have some of them a lot. Like, this sale is happening, then we go, because we haven't really thought of our purpose. And I think that ties also into work, right? So as we are looking at the money, let's talk a bit about work, because a lot of us work to get money. But again, the purpose will define how we manage that money. So a woman's work will be part of this portfolio of resources, correct?
That's correct. Yes. And talking about work, so there are so many different types of work that women do. Some of homemakers, some of us are out there with a career. Some of us are CEOs. Some of us are just business entrepreneurs. There are so many different jobs or works or careers or vocations out there that women do. And again, I think all of it is tied with your purpose, because, or at, your purpose at a point in time, because sometimes your purpose can also evolve. So at a point in time in your life, you have to stay home and take care of the kids and raise them and give them a balanced lifestyle, or, give them certain things so that they can get to a certain place that you envision for your kids. That could be your work at that time, your vocation at that time, making the home. And wherever you find yourself, be it at home, be it a 9-to-5 job combined with taking care of kids and married life and anything else you do, wherever you find yourself, you should be intentional about the resources that you have, how you manage it, and how to get to the next level of that purpose that you have.
Akosua, I think this one, let's stay there a bit. The work, because sometimes, like, as women, we may be in a season that we are taking care of children and we are home, and maybe we even have careers, but we put it down when we are working at home. We are working at home. Again, I'm saying that we are working at home. It's not like you're a stay-home mom and you don't do anything. I don't buy into that idea, because that is a job. That is a job that, in fact, some of the career people cannot even do. When you say they should stay home, it's not that easy.
A lot of people learned about this thing when the pandemic hit, that staying at home is not easy at all.
So, it's not. It's a job. So how do you, as a woman in that season, who you find yourself at home, or even maybe you lost your job and you're at home and you're in between jobs, how do you still creatively make money? Because that is a resource that you need. How do you do that? Because that is where a lot of people feel like their hands are tied. I'm home. I can't do anything.
So that's where the savviness come in. So
the
savviness is coming in here, because whether you're at home or in the office or have a business, you always have a tool in your hand. God has given each and every one of us talents. God has given each and every one of us something that we have that somebody doesn't have, and when we get together, we have some friends who have specialties, right? We talk about, some people's jollof rice. Maybe that jollof rice that you make that all your friends enjoy, since you're at home and at the time of your life, you are taking care of the kids, that could become your source of income by making an extra dish and, putting a price on it and having other people pick it up for their dinner. So instead of you making for your family of 5, now you make it for 10. You're not going too much outside of your resources, but you are being intentional about making extra and selling.
Wow.
So you are at home 5 days a week, 7 days a week. The kids may be going to school Monday through Friday. You may have make time for yourself on Saturday and say, this is my day of making money. What is it that I have? Maybe all the things that I have found time to knit, I need to sell them or to sew. I had an aunt who was home over the pandemic, and she knew how to sew. That was not her career, but because she was home, she started making masks and selling masks because she could sew. So she was making a lot of money out of selling of masks during the pandemic. So whether you are home, whether you go to the office for money, whether you have your own business, there's always of making money if you are intentional about it. So that is why when I started, I said your mindset is key.
I like that.
What happens to you in terms of how you manage resources, and you have to be intentional about it. If you're not, you just live by chance, and living your life by chance does not usually get you where you want to go.
Wow, I like that. It's all in your mind, where we can say, oh, this is it for me. We can also say, well, this is an opportunity for me. I may be home this time. Maybe I can write a book. Some of us, we are good that way. We just haven't put it to the front to be able to write. But maybe that is the time to write. Maybe that is the time to be creative. Take what you have. I like the fact that you say that we always have a tool in our hands. We are not that handicapped. We always have a tool, no matter what the situation and the circumstances. It is important that we think like that, because sometimes when we stay home for some time, we lose track of our economically savviness. And then we miss out, because as you're not making the money and as you're not bringing anything home, yes, maybe the home is taken care of, but you are missing out on savings. You're missing out on putting some money for your retirement, right? So all these are things that we should think about as women, whatever the stage that we find ourselves in, right? Yeah, I really like that. But one more thing that I wanted to add to it. So let's about those who are working, right? We are working, we are always out there, but sometimes we also sell ourselves short, even for those who work. So we don't take opportunities at work to go higher. We don't do any investment in ourselves to take on, promotions and things, because sometimes our culturally, set up minds tells us, oh, this is enough. You're a woman, just this is enough. How do we move forward from there?
So again, I always want us to go back to how we started this. We were talking about the Proverbs 31 woman, right?
Yeah.
That's economically savvy woman. That economically savvy woman has a purpose and also wants to grow, wants to invest, wants to make sure that they are adding value to their life. So the key is, what value are you adding to your life at any stage and point of your life? And if you are adding that value, remember we talked about those two big resources. You got to manage that time. You have to manage those resources, and you have to grow. That growth we are talking about, wherever you are, be it in your career, be it at home, is, you don't want to be at the same spot in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years. You want to see growth. Put down on paper, plan. Look at where you are today and make a plan to make your life better. And that is adding value to your life. If you are going to make your life better, then you're going to seek for a promotion. Then you're going to seek for more money. Then you're going to seek to free up time so you have time to do all these things that you want to accomplish in life. You are conscious, intentional about these resources at your disposal. So you are moving from one level to the next in your life. So no matter where you are, be it in your office, career, business, at home, you definitely want to look at things that add value to your life every day.
Every day, every day. Because someone told me as we were talking about getting this conversation going, they said, we've also been trained as women. Sometimes society has taught us that as kingdom women, if we work and we go higher and we become the CEOs, then it means we are not submissive. So then that makes us shy away from taking on some of the bigger roles, even though we know the value that we can bring to the table. We know what God has endowed us with, but we almost like sell ourselves short because of what others will say. Is it because we haven't found the purpose, or is it because society is dictating too much to us?
I think it comes down to the individual understanding their purpose. Really, because if you understand your purpose, it doesn't matter what society tells you, really. If God said, and you know in your heart of hearts that this is what God has called me to be, this is where God wants me to be, this is what God wants me to do, and if that's my purpose, and that is done through, say, becoming the most senior, most member of my team at work, then you are not going against anything biblically. And I know women who are on top of the ladder when it comes to careers, who are still, I don't like to use the word submissive, but they have, great relationships with people where they don't come out as condescending, where people still see them as very humble, loving women. So it's not necessarily your work that makes you, unsubmissive. It's really, you want to understand your purpose. And that purpose is what's going to drive you to whatever level that you want to achieve in your vocation, your career, your calling, whatever work that you do. So let's not let the world, and our culture rule over the purpose that God has, created us to fulfill.
Wow, I like that. Before we move on to the time management part of it and continue with other parts, I want to come back to like women who may be working all right, or maybe, staying at home, or in relationships that they don't do anything with the finances. So they haven't educated themselves financially. They don't know how to create a budget. They don't know how to manage a budget. They don't know what investments are there. Even to the point where I've seen women who had very good husbands and, spouses, and they didn't know where the life insurance was, or they didn't even know enough about life insurance to encourage their spouse to do one. So things happen and they are left, hanging. How do we as women also, I know we talked about it, like having a good mindset, but how do we get ourselves, not that we want to take over. For instance, if your spouse is doing a great job at the finances, awesome, but get some insight, know where things are, know what accounts we have, let's talk about that a bit. Yeah.
Another reminder, and I guess I'll be saying this over and over again, the Proverbs 31 woman was an economically savvy woman. And my definition, remember when we started, I said the economically savvy woman has a good understanding. Underline that. They have a good understanding of the resources that they have and how to manage it. So a good understanding of the resources and how to manage it is part of knowing where things are in your setting, whatever setting, be it married, be it single, be it head of, whatever it is. So the resources, our biggest ones are time and money. Where is your money? So even if somebody else is managing my money, I need to know where that is. When you talk to the finance guys, right? When they throw money in investment, they don't put it somewhere and have somebody just do the work for them without them knowing what's going on with it. You still want to know where that money is. You want to know where is it invested. You want to understand it. So you have to make an effort in order to become economically savvy woman. Be intentional about understanding where these resources are. Where is your money? If it's in a marriage setting, it's for both of you. You need to understand where it is. Know where to go to in times of emergency. How much is there? You have to have these conversations when the family meetings occur. You don't have to have a day-to-day, involvement with it. But maybe at the end of every month, maybe at the end of every quarter, at the end of every year, you need to know where things are with your money, because economically savvy woman has an understanding of where the resources are.
Yeah, know where the money is, whether it's even password into accounts, having an idea what the life insurance, where the life insurance policy is. Do we even have one? If we don't have it, the fact that you are a stay-home mom doesn't mean you can't bring up these conversations, right? So you can definitely bring the conversation up and then help to even get that understanding so that your home, again, like you said, understanding where the resources are and managing it so you can help to manage it. I think that is a really powerful thing. Yeah.
And that is a continuous effort. So again, the resources that we are talking about today are there at our disposal every day. We all have that 24 hours in a day for each individual. We all have access to financial resources outside of us that we can reach out to. We can reach into financial resources or tap into financial resources in many ways through, like, creating your own business, going to work, doing some investment. Maybe you have some money sitting under your bed, right? That you put to use for you. So you start doing investment. There's so many ways to tap into financial resources. And you definitely want to have your hands on one of them to grow financially. And also, we'll talk more about time.
Wow. So Akosua, one more question before we move on to the time aspect of it. So what if you are in a marriage that the spouse is not forthcoming on getting a life insurance, you're a stay-home mom, you don't have the resources or the money to buy one and all that? Because I've had someone who the spouse was doing a very great job, but just didn't believe in having a life insurance. And one day when something happened and he died, this woman had to pack and almost like start from zero, So what do you do in that situation? Those are difficult situations, especially when the other spouse is not ready to come along with some of the reasonable things that can be done. Yeah.
So I think it starts with a conversation, right? Communication is key. Talk to your spouse. Try to pull the information by, talking to them, asking the right questions. If you are at a point where you feel things are not forthcoming, which, those could be for various reasons. Maybe it's just not there, or maybe it's, there is a trust issue. You have to come up with an alternative plan. Remember, you as that economical savvy woman needs to manage these things, right? So if it's in the hands of somebody and you are not getting it managed, or you are not seeing the resources being run or used the way it should be, you need to jump on. You are in charge. You should be in charge of it and make an effort, an attempt to change things, strategize how these resources maybe are coming in. And part of this strategizing of how the finances are coming in could be what you are doing to contribute to it. That's start thinking, okay, maybe I need to start this little business on the side so I can add to the financial resources in my home. Then once you have those strategies in place, you need to keep your eye. If you don't know for sure that there's life insurance, it doesn't hurt to start one then. If you have doubts about some of the investments that you as the economically savvy woman wants to see, you need to make sure that you start those investments. And from where you are, look at where you are, assess yourself, and start taking those steps as an economically savvy woman, because you don't want to be taken by surprise. I mean, God takes care of all of us, no matter what it is. And no matter what circumstances my girlfriends all fall in, I always encourage them, God will take care of the situation. But before something happens, you have the power. You have the power to make a change. You have the power to make a difference in your life. You have the power to put certain things in place. So why don't you use that power that you have to make sure that these things are in place for you, so that in times of hardships, or when something should happen that is unplanned, you would have some amount of control, have an understanding of your resources.
Amazing. So all is not lost. Even if you're in a situation that is not as forthcoming as you want, there's wisdom that you can use around it. Remember, this woman that we all admire in Proverbs 31 says that she considereth a land and she buys it. I'm sure between considering and the buying, There was a lot of things that happened that we don't know about, but through wisdom, she was able to buy it. So you too, find the wisdom around in your situation, because there's wisdom in every situation. If only you will open yourself up to understanding and learning, you see that there's a way around it. Yeah. So I think that is a good, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to add one more thing. So let's say there's somebody that's listening to us and it's like, oh, I don't know what to do. I really, I've thought about this. I'm in my 50s. I've tried different things. If it hasn't worked, sometimes you need to talk to somebody in your village, in your clan, in your group, in your sisterhood team. Reach out to somebody and ask for help. And if you don't have that, resource or that person in your village, in your group.
Akosua is one.
Yeah, call Sister Tina. she we'll hook up together, and we are here to help each other. So reach out for help if you don't know where to begin, or you are overwhelmed, or you are, for some of us women, our personalities are such that some of these things really overwhelm us. But it doesn't have to be. When you talk to the right person, you'll be able to take those steps that are necessary, that you need to take to become an economically savvy woman.
Amazing. So build your tribe, build your village. And by that, it means that find people around you. A lot of people have done things without much of a support from a spouse, but there's wisdom that you can use. I tell you, there's wisdom. You have to reach out for help. Don't sit there and think that's all lost and it's all over. Some of us, as you see, it's the story that is behind. We can't share it all in one, setting and one sitting. So there's wisdom. We've all come a long ways and we are still going on our journey. But definitely, how can we help? How can we help? Sometimes it's even going back to school. And that's, as far as may not be encouraging of it. But there's wisdom around that, because I know people that have personally helped to go back to school, get their, nursing degree, get this, get something, that they can at least now start contributing a little bit to help with their own home and, managing things. So there are ways around it. Ask. God always puts people in our way for that reason. So don't let it be something that you just sit and just hang up your hat and say, you know what, I've tried, this person is not letting me, there's a way out. Remember, there's always a way out. Yeah, there's always a way out. Wow, thank you, Akosua, for sharing this. And I mean, one more thing I'll throw in there, I keep saying I'm moving on to time, but things keep coming back to my mind, even around education, because that is also a resource. Right? Sometimes you are staying home, even if your job is, you're laid off and you're home, you could also reinvent yourself. I recently started looking at other areas that I think that I can even use as a side job to work from home forever, and that area is IT. IT is now a hot area. What can you do? Virtual assistant, can you do this? Can you do this? It takes a little bit of sacrifice, but you can do it from home. And that will give you another outlet that will add to your portfolio for resources. What do you think, Akos?
I agree with you. We can always adapt. Look at what happened to all of us when the pandemic hit. None of us had planned for it, right? But once it hit, if you are here, certainly listening here on this conversation, I know you did something to adapt to that environment that we were in. As hard as it may seem. For some, it was, yes, work from home. For some, we had to recreate new things, like start all over. I can talk of a business that was, an in-person business, always going to shows on the road and talking to people. That moved totally online with a website. Of course, not without challenges, but that is where, but you adapt to that situation. So yes, that resource that you might need to go to the next level could be, taking a class, taking a course, going back to finish your education that you didn't finish 5 years ago or 10 years ago, even 20 years ago, you can still go back to the classroom. And for all you know, 2-3 years will come by before you know it and you are done with it and you can do something with that degree or that certification that you haven't achieved all these years and take you to the next level. So please don't be afraid to adapt. That is part of the savviness and that economic savvy woman. Be intentional, be quick to adapt and pivot so that you can get to the place where you need to be.
Absolutely. And once we start our website next month, we're going to do a pilot group as well with some of these. It's going to be for a season. And then after that, it will be something that we continue to do. But we want to, it's up to you how much help you need. And we are going to, but you have to commit to that process, because it's going to be a lot of people putting their time in and their effort to mentor, to coach, to help you to get there. Because sometimes you just need someone at your side. When a very close person like a spouse is saying you can't do it, you need a sister. You need someone in your tribe who says, it's okay. You can do it. I'm here. I'll hold your hand. I'll encourage you. You know, so it's not always that your spouse will be on board with something that you're doing. It's not always, you know, but that there's a way around it, and there's wisdom. So I'm so glad that we talked. I think that this is going to help us really look at our resources, redefine it. Let's talk about time. Women, we do everything. We do the cooking, we do the groceries, we do everything. I am one, you know. Time, because that is a resource. Time is a huge resource, and we need to manage it. How do we use time to become savvy in our, in our lives?
All right. So my thing again is have an understanding of time. Some are oblivious to time. Sometimes I work with some of my sisters and
oblivious.
Oblivious to time. Like we just get up and it's, we don't, we are not aware of what that hour is, or the 2 hours are, or whatever it is. We just keep going. But that is not a good way of managing time. Have an understanding of it. We all have 24 hours in a day. Some people are doing a gazillion things in one day. Some people are not in a thing in a day and keep working on that thing forever and ever. And I think the difference between those two people are all the understanding of time. If you have routine tasks that you do, you should know how long it takes you to do those routine tasks. I mean, you can't say, oh, I don't know how much time it takes me to dress up, or I don't know how much time it takes me to shower. You need to be conscious about your time. I mean, and based on your understanding of time, you will be able to manage that 24 hours that's accessible to everybody every day. So time management begins with an understanding and your awareness of time.
I like that. It begins with an understanding. And I like the part of being oblivious to it, because I have some sisters that when I call, and one is on the Gloria, we can be oblivious of time. By the time you realize you talk for an hour or even more, but how do we make that productive, right? So we have to be thoughtful, even with our conversations, that I'm challenging her. Like some of the things that she has to do that she'll keep shelving on the shelf and putting it away. I'm like, okay, you can do this. I think you should start this. I think you should, but even if we are going to be having that conversation, yes, there will be times that we just have a conversation for the sake of the conversation, but we have to still be thoughtful of our time, that we are encouraging each other, and we are not talking about people. We are talking about ourselves, because that is one thing that we can easily get into, where we talk about other people and not talk about the things that we have to do, as women.
Yeah. And so we know time is a resource, right? And we need time for many things. We need time for our personal selves, just now personal me time. We need time to be with a family. We need time to work. We need time to cook. We need time to do different tasks. We need time to do projects in our lives. We need time to fulfill our purpose. So time is also a resource that we need for many things. And so again, depending on your purpose, you allot time to different things. So if you have a big task, you want to get that done first before you tackle the little ones. Again, we don't want to have, specific or defined ways of using time, because we are all different individuals with different purposes. So if you are that individual where you know that this is your purpose and these are the things I need to get done, you have to plan, and plan. If you don't have a plan for your time, just like you plan for your money, you are going to go on and on for days and hours of doing things, and time is just going to slip away from you. But if you are purposeful with your time, you sit down and say, I'm going to spend 1 hour today writing my book. Remember that purpose. If you need to write a book, I'm going to put in 1 hour today for it. And I'm going to put in another 2 hours for cooking. Maybe I'm going to put in an hour for cleaning today. Or maybe today we have a lot of activities with the kids. So I can only, if you go to a 9-to-5 job, go to work, come back and take the kids to, their activity. That's probably all I can fit in my day today. But plan, whatever you need to do or the things that you want to do, put it on paper and put some time on it. That is where you become purposeful with your time. And if you are past the time, ask yourself why. Because you don't come to that place where you realize that time is a resource that is not sitting there all the time and forever, and it goes away if you don't use it. You are going to continue to waste your time. So have a plan of what you want to do, put it on paper, and allot specific timelines to anything you have to do throughout your day. You need it when you are doing your work. When you are in the office, you need to say, I'm going to write this report in 2 hours or in 1 day. You got to give yourself that deadline. You can't sit there and do a report for, the whole year. So you have to have time around everything. And some of our sisters are certainly oblivious to where time goes. We will spend the whole day getting dressed up. We'll spend the whole day going to the store. We'll spend the whole day cooking. It's okay to do some of these things in a whole day, but is that all you have to do? You have to be mindful of the things that you need to get done and allot the right amount of time to them. So that is my, initial take on how you manage the time at our hands.
Wow. But of course, like you said, some of us, we don't have any idea of our time. And it's not like it's even just for work only, but even for our own selves, we just don't have a sense of time. Can we I don't know, like define it, or can we develop that consciousness of time? Is it something that we can do? Or is it because based on our personality type, we just cannot do it? Is there a thing like that? Because I think that we can all learn it. Some of us have not, been put to the test, so we haven't thought of it that much. Or our personality is more outgoing and very easygoing, and we just get sidetracked by so many things. But I think that it's something we can learn, at least to put some boundaries. Like Sawa has said in the past, like MFA said last week, no walls, not like, oh, we are not going to talk to anybody anymore, but some boundaries if we are going to get things done,
Everybody can do it if they put their mind to it. So your mindset is what drives you. And if you put your mind to it, you can do it. I have a scenario of two people that did the same type of business, right? They all saw clients in their, the type of business that they did. One of them that I encountered could deal with 10 clients in a day, and the money they make is based on how many clients they see. The other, up to this day, can only see 2 to 3 clients a day, and that those two all have experience and have put in time in the business that they do. So it's not like they are, they are new in the business. In terms of experience, they are probably all around the same level. Right. But one person has grown to the point of they know that it takes me this much time to have this conversation and complete this task for the client. And so at the beginning of the day, they set up all the appointments based on those timelines. The other one doesn't. It's like, I think I may be able to do maybe. And then it's like in the middle of the day is when they are figuring out that they have time for another client. And then they are calling the client to come in at that point in time. When you're working with people, it doesn't always work out that way. Because by the time you call the client, that person already has plans and is doing other things and can't make it. So you short yourself. I'm only using this example because, yes, we are different, But if we are conscious and we can put a timeline to what we do, we will be able to manage our times better. Everybody can do it. You just need to be intentional. You need to plan. You need to also learn how to manage time. Have that conversation. Learn it on YouTube. Learn it on TED Talks. Like, there's so many things that you can read and avenues that you can get help with managing your time. And the more you put some effort to it, learning how to manage it, the better you get at.
Yeah, I like what you said. It's a mindset thing, because all of us can learn it. Some of us are, yes, our personalities go and go and go and be happy, but we can learn it. If we can just put our minds to it, we can put some structure and some framework around the things that we do, and we'll be very productive. Because guess what? Some of us, when we go to work, we are late to work. Women, we are late. And it's, in certain cultures, I don't like stereotyping. I don't like people to stereotype that, because you're Black, they know that every meeting you'll be there late. I don't like it. I don't like that. So I want us to help us to change the way, the perception that people see us, right? I'm asking you, as you are here, as you join anytime, or you go back and you see this video, I want you to be part of that, change story, right? We want to be thoughtful, because that is how people are seeing us. Every time you'll be late, when we say come at 10, you will come at 10:15 and all that. As much as no one will say it, I am in corporate, and I know the people that I'm not going to promote. I'm not going to tell them. I'm not going to say anything, but I can see how they manage their time. And they could be at the same level, but one is definitely going somewhere and the other one is going nowhere because they are not ready to learn, right? So if you're on here, you are interested in a time management workshop, and some of us need it, we need to learn it, and we need someone to hold us accountable to, start thinking about time as precious as money. Yeah. Look at time like money, like how you spend your money. That's how you spend your time. And sometimes it doesn't work for some people, because they also spend their time the same way they spend their money. But we want to do a workshop. We want to get together. We want to learn, because some tips I may share would help someone else. The tips Akosua will share will help someone else. The tips that Sewa will bring to the table will also shift someone's perspective. So that is why I love to hear from us as we work together, because there are always different situations, different personalities, and we can always learn from each other. Yeah.
And then, depending on your perspective on time, you also get to a level where maybe when you have a lot of things to do, you also delegate to free up time. You learn to maybe hire people to do certain things for you because you want to free up time. It's all about your perception of time and how much you want to accomplish within that 24 hours. So if that 24 hours, you need to do a number of things and you cannot finish all of it. Part of managing time is delegate. Use the team around you. So if it's housework that you can't get done, train some of the people in your house, your children.
I like that.
And have them help you. Give them some of the work to do. Some of us also, maybe it's, your business. You can't do everything. Like I was trying to do an online business and I'm not tech savvy. I can't do taking pictures of my product.
I've seen it.
Online, manage social media, all the tools to make me successful online. Guess what? I found it out. I was like, I need help. I need somebody to do this. And I need to, cut my code according to my clause. So I'll take somebody that, would take a few dollars. I don't have money. I'm not a corporation yet. So in order to help my business grow, I found some of the things out because I don't have the time and I don't know how to do it. Managing your time also means sometimes, saying no to certain things. Some of us say yes to every invitation, every meeting. We can't do that. A good way of managing your time, being an economically savvy woman, is to say no. I can't do this. I won't be able to go for this particular event. It's okay to say no, but it comes to how to manage your time.
Yeah.
And we have some of the sisters that are perfectionists. So everything has to be 100% right. So they spend
150%.
So spend the whole week doing the same thing and never getting their hands off one thing because they want it to be perfect. None of us are perfect. That can sometimes be a negative, right?
Yes.
Can sometimes be a negative because you spend so much energy and time on one thing that should take you a few hours to do. And again, if you are very aware or conscious of your time, you work on that habit, on that personality, so that you can free up time to do things, because it's a personality that's not helping you with time management.
Yes.
So let's look into ourselves. Let's start with where we are, examine ourselves, and make sure that we are time conscious. And until we are time conscious, we'll have no clue how to manage time. It's just, it won't come. Have to actually be conscious about it.
I like it. I think you said so many things. We have to have the time management, workshop, because we have so many things that we can't get into it. Some of you are thinking, I am a perfectionist. It's great. It's a good thing. You just have to manage it. Every good thing can also get to be a little bit not too good. So you can manage it, but someone has to help you. Sometimes you need someone to help you, even someone to prod you along and say, move on. It's okay. This is great. This is perfect. Just go ahead and do it. And you have to be open to that nudge, like somebody, pushing you to say, it's okay, move on. And then moving on and leaving it. And it may not be as 150% perfect, but 100% is good, right? So getting comfortable with even the not being comfortable with 100%, it's okay. And it's something you can learn. That is why for me, this is a big platform that we have. I think it's a place to learn and relearn, even learning to say no. Some of us, we have to come into the time management class or workshop and have scenarios that we say, no, I cannot do it. And you don't need to explain yourself to death because you said no. That is one thing I learned, that if I say I'm not able to do it, I don't need to come and explain. Give you a one-page summary of why and everything before I can feel comfortable. So no is a powerful thing for us to also learn to say. And it doesn't mean we are evil. It just means that we cannot do everything.
That's true.
Wow, delegate. Some of us don't like delegation, and we cannot train. Again, it also with a perfectionist tendency, so that way we struggle. We have to do everything ourselves. Some of us do that. We are trying not to be perfectionists. We don't have anyone to help us. So if you are available to help, then we can delegate. Wow.
Yeah,
I like that. I just said no is a complete sentence. I like that.
Let's some of these things, like if you are overwhelmed with a lot of housework, there are people who can come and help you clean your house maybe once a month. And you won't believe it. Some of these services are so cheap. I didn't know until my friend told me how much they are paying somebody to help them clean, because they are so busy with the kids, 3 kids and activities, and it costs them $12 an hour. So they let them come in 2 hours every other week. So $24. Wow. They get all the bathrooms clean, their floors mopped, everything, and that frees them the time to do other stuff that they want to do. And that's that friend of, right? It all depends on your purpose, and you need to learn to sometimes outsource certain things so that you, because if you outsource it, it's getting done, but then you are also freeing up time to do other things that you want to do. So it's very essential that you understand time and you know how to allocate time to things in your life, and put things in priority in a priority perspective.
I like that. We have to pay for the help. Sometimes you have to just, think about what do you need and just get someone to do it. Outsource it. You can't do it all. And I'm speaking to the choir here because some of us, we are in the same boat. We do everything. We do the grocery, we do the cooking, we do the cleaning, we do the everything. And we are surprised that it's all too much for us. Next week, we'll be talking about a woman's health, because now that we've talked about our time management, the economics, and how that is important, we're going to tie it off with our health. How important is that as we also look at our time? Because if we don't free up the time, today we may be able to do all these things, but are we overstressing ourselves and getting more issues that we are going to pay for later? You know, so as we wrap up, I mean, I think it's been a really important conversation. So I'm tapping on your shoulders for the time management workshop. So, you know, we'll find some time soon and we'll do it, because we need it as women. We really need it. That's one of the things that I learned from the Proverbs 31 woman, is that she's a planner. She says she's not afraid of the snow for her family because she has wool. They have clothing. That means that she's done some planning, she's done some arrangements and put things in place. And that's what gives her the confidence to just be okay with whatever adversity comes, because she's not afraid of it. So we also, as we are building our homes, we are working and doing all the things, we have to have a good understanding of the resources that we have. Akosua, to you for the last comments. What do you think as we wrap up on our conversation on being economically savvy? I think there's so much to go into, but you know, we'll continue. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think one conclusion I have here is the economically savvy woman is a woman who loves herself. And if you love yourself, you take care, or you choose to work on becoming a better person or the better person of yourself. You also put things in place to make sure that you are around. So part of it is taking care of your health, which next week, as Sister Tina said, we're going to be talking about health. So you make sure that you take care of your health so you don't get sick often, because you want to be around to enjoy that self that you love. You also secure and insure your home. So whatever your definition of home is, you want to secure it by making sure that you have the finances, you are managing the time right, and doing the things to ensure and secure that home. And I'm not talking about a physical building, but you know what makes your place of relaxation or your place of or your living. You also want to start tracking your finances so you know exactly where you spend your time and your income and your time. You also want to track your. So that person is, you know, the woman that loves herself, drive yourself to become a better person and invest in your future. Invest in your health, your finances, your time, and fulfill your purpose that way. So that will be what I'll share in terms of the economically savvy woman for our conclusion.
Akosua, I don't think you really concluded, because you brought in this aspect of loving ourselves, which women, we find very hard to do. We love everybody. We make time for everybody. But the person that we live with ourselves, that one sometimes is a challenge. When we are not feeling well, we don't care. We can still get up and go do something for other people and leave ourselves and neglect ourselves, thinking that we are doing good, you know? So I think that is really important. You know, be committed to taking care of you so you can take care of others. Because if we don't do that, there's not much you can get out of an empty well to be able to water other people.
Yeah.
The well itself needs water.
Sorry, Tina, as you said that, I just want to give a good example that everybody, a lot of people can relate. So when you're on the airlines, every time you board a plane, before the flight, they always give you all the rules and things that you have to follow on the airline, right? And one of the things is the the oxygen mask. Yeah. They tell you, if you have a kid or anybody that depends on you, make sure you secure your mask first before you secure that of the child, that infant, that people, the person who is next to you that cannot help themselves. And the reason they say that is because if you don't put your oxygen mask on and make sure that your oxygen mask is working, how can you save somebody else? Then you both end up maybe dying or, you know, suffocating and, you know, not surviving. So it always starts with the self. If you don't love yourself first, you can't help the other person. You have to be, you know, love yourself, have that oxygen flowing in you in terms of all these resources before you are able to help anybody else, your children, your spouse, your friends, the sisters, the village, and the tribe. So love yourself first.
I'm looking at a masterpiece. Oh, you know how to fight. You're stronger than the lies. I know in every scar life leads. It's a brushstroke on a masterpiece.